And as we grow and develop, we will draw new players, new talent, new people to this area, just as we've drawn Anita Perry. That was a result of our being at Expo last summer and performing there. Anita Perry heard us play at Expo, approached me and asked if it would be appropriate for her to create a work especially for the orchestra. I said, by all means, and now here we are in the very enviable and unique position of premiering a very fine work by a British Columbia composer who will be coming here for the performance, who will be in the audience, who will be participating in our final rehearsal with us to add that final bit of polish to it. As the orchestra grows and develops, more of this kind of thing will be happening. We'll be able to bring in soloists from wherever we can find appropriate people, appropriate material, and ultimately I would hope that we could even draw players from perhaps all over Canada to come and settle here because there is a fine resident orchestra that they can play with. And if we get to a position where finally we can pay them something, hallelujah.
What else are you going to be doing besides the new Perry suite?
We'll be doing the Bach Brandenburg Concerto No. 5, Vivaldi's Gloria with the Nelson Choral Society, and the Choral Society will also be doing a work from Mendelssohn's Elijah with the orchestra, and then the Choral Society will be doing some a cappella or unaccompanied shorter works as well.
Where will that be held?
At St. Paul's Trinity Church.
With me is Bruce Hunter, musical director, Nelson Choral Society. Can you tell a little bit about the piece Gloria tonight that seemed to be in Latin? Could you tell what the words meant and how you teach people Latin at the same time as learning the songs?
Well, the Gloria is from the Roman Catholic Mass, and most masses, well, the masses form come from a common framework. The Kyrie, the Gloria, the Credo, the Sanctus and the Agnus Dei, they all come from the what they call the ordinary of the Mass. And as far as Latin is concerned, we've sung many Latin works, and over the years we've had clinicians helping us with the pronunciation and so forth, and we have standard form books and sheets that allow us to do it together and correctly, so that the way we pronounce it would be the way that the larger choirs would also pronounce it.
Were these masses performed like this several hundred years ago?
Sure. Yeah. I think we hope that if Vivaldi were here, he wouldn't notice too much of a difference, except perhaps in well, I can't predict. The instruments of today are pretty well as they were then. The stringed instruments haven't changed that much. Singing was perhaps more revered at that time. There was a great respect for the highest quality of human voice, and we still retain that, of course, but in maybe isolated pockets. I would like to think that we dedicate ourselves as much as they did, given our busy lives. We are an amateur association, but I think our standards. I would like to think our standards are as high as some of the finest choirs in Vivaldi's day. Certainly, I would bet, and of course this can never be proven, that our finest professional choirs would be superior to just about anything that Vivaldi would have found.
How do the numbers compare?
Numbers in the choir.
Yeah.
I can only guess. I don't really know the answer to that, but I would say that, well, our numbers go from, depending on what we're singing, they might go from 35 to 55 or 60, and I would say those are generally the sizes of the choirs that Vivaldi would have contended with. As is the orchestra. He would have had small orchestras, and this orchestra is mainly strings with a trumpet and timpani. Up to 25 people tops.
People who aren't, say, well phrased with the Roman Catholic litany, and they don't understand Latin very well, how does the average person relate to this kind of music?
We don't take Latin. In other words, we sing Latin, but if the truth be known, at any one time we don't know what the translation is. Certainly, we have a textual translation, because in order to interpret the music the way it should be interpreted, we have to know basically what the text is saying. But as to what this specific word at this moment in time means, some of us do and some of us don't know it. Generally, though, we've learned how to pronounce it.
How do you try to get the meaning across to the audience?
Well, if we know what it means, if we know contextually what the message is, then the music will speak for it, and we can get it across. If we know what we're doing, we certainly trust that Vivaldi knows what he's doing, so if we know what we're doing, the audience will pick it up.
I meant, did you in the program, do you write?
Yes, very often we do.
Okay.
Depending on the length of the work. This is a short work, 25 minutes. So the basic outline of the text we can put in a program.
Okay, thank you. How do you mix the elements of learning, teaching a lot of material in a short time with making it enjoyable for people who come here for free for weeks?
Yeah. We, being an amateur association, firmly believe that if you're not enjoying yourself, then why are you making music? And so we're here, and we dedicate ourselves to the joy of making music. And so if the process of what we're doing is not enjoyable, then the product can never be. And so if we're going to get all nervous and the whole relaxed instrument, which is the voice, if it cannot function the night of the concert, then why have we spent all those months? So the months up to the concert must have been worth it, otherwise the concert is no payment at all. It's the icing on the cake for us. It's nice to perform, but really we are performing for us. It's nice to have an audience, but if we don't feel good about what we did, then no amount of adulation from an audience will compensate at all.
As musical director, how do you make it enjoyable for the people?
Well, I try to humor is part of music. None of these composers lacked a sense of humor. I mean, to work in the conditions they had to work, they had to have a sense of humor. And we differentiate between fun and joy. The joy of making music is not necessarily the fun of making music, although we have fun too. But fun is one of the side effects. Joy is what we get, and that comes from working hard. It's its own reward. The music pays us for doing a good job.
I notice you're not really critical or really heavy when some people aren't technically, too
Well,
proficient.
some of them think I'm too soft. But on the other hand, if they're really listening to one another, then they are their own best critics. I mean, the core of this choir has been with me for many years. These people are good sight readers.
Can you tell me a bit about the choral performance that's coming up April 25th and 26th?
Well, this is another in our series of collaborations with the Selkirk Orchestra. We every spring do a collaboration with them, and this is the Vivaldi Gloria, which we haven't done. As a matter of fact, we did it 10 years ago, and very few of the members of the present society were with us then. And the orchestra really didn't come into existence until just prior to David Thompson University Centre's existence. So this is the first time that the orchestra has performed it with us. But they have become so proficient in their short history that they, for instance, will join us in the last week of rehearsals. And so they've become a group which not only shares the programs with us, but has equal billing, because on this program, at the end of next month, for example, fully half the program is performed by the orchestra without the chorus. So we've become equal partners in our spring concerts. We have separate concerts at Christmas, but because of the new society, the Chamber Music Society, our concerts are more diverse, more varied, and with that umbrella society, we have the orchestra performing, the choral society, the small the small chamber choral society. Because there's a small chamber group within the larger choral society, as there are smaller performing groups within the orchestra also, you see. So our concerts under the umbrella of that one organization are becoming more diverse, and it's quite a large organization now of people who play in both organizations.
Some Canadian chamber orchestra music has been criticized for not being, excuse me, very listenable. What kind of things can you do to make it more accessible to your audience?
Well, first off, like I said before, you simply have to get it on the program. If an audience never hears it, it's going to remain inaccessible to them. Accessibility is as much familiarity as anything else. If you're simply not familiar with it, you never have an opportunity to hear it, it's going to remain inaccessible to you.
Like a new song on the radio.
Well, yeah, to
Kind of
some
grow on you?
extent. Sure, the more familiar you are with it, the easier it is for you to get into. Apart from that, of course, there are other things that can be done. Program notes are helpful. Anita Perry is going to be doing extensive program notes for her chamber suite, and that should help the audience get into it. It's also possible to, I've heard of orchestras doing things like playing a new work twice on the same program, so that you might hear it at the beginning of the program and then at the end of the program. That gives you a chance for your ear to acclimatize to it and so on. We might try just having the orchestra go over key themes and explain it before we play the piece, so that the orchestra or the audience can understand how those themes fit into the overall work, begin to see the shape of it, and then begin to get a sense themselves of that underlying structure, that overall shape that I was talking about. Once you have that, you find that the rest is just a matter of your ear becoming used to these new, sometimes dissonant, but ultimately very satisfying sounds. Bear in mind that all the music that we find acceptable now was probably at one time found very unacceptable.
Right.
Stravinsky's Rite of Spring is a perfect example. Stravinsky had to escape, literally, from the theater where that work was premiered through a basement window. The audience was ready to murder the guy. And now, of course, it's a recognized masterpiece of 20th century literature. Even in Beethoven's time, his audience, in his own time, thought that he'd maybe gone a little around the bend when he came up with his last 5-string quartets, which are accepted pretty well universally as perhaps the apex of music in the Western classical tradition. So it's always dangerous to set something aside as being inaccessible, because accessibility very often just comes with time.
It's been said that the art of conducting is a language all of its own. Could you demonstrate what that means to you?
This is a tough one to ask me as a final one because there's so much I could say, of course. But essentially, conducting is as much art as science. One tries to do two things: keep the orchestra together, of course, get them started at the same time, suggest the tempo, dynamic markings, and whatnot. And then ultimately, what the conductor does is take responsibility for the interpretation of the work. It's for the conductor to see that overall shape that I was talking about, to sort it out from the initial confusion and noise and the notes on the page, and get that shape across to the players. And of course, that takes a lot of trust. The players have to believe that I know what I'm doing, or at least be willing to accept that initially and go along with that interpretation that I've decided upon. Apart from that, it is essentially music from gesture. The gestures that one makes determine the sound that one will get. It's a focus of music, dance, and intellect, and very satisfying.
How does the gesture itself go?
It depends on what's called for in the music. The gestures are determined first and foremost by the time signature. 3/4 has one very particular set of gestures, and they can be very strict or very relaxed depending on the music. 4/4 has, or the 4/4 key signature has another very specific set of gestures, and so on. Then different dynamics, different character of the sound, different attack of a note, and so forth, all suggests a different gesture, which in turn suggests the kind of attack that is wanted from the musician.
Bob Eddy, thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you.